Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you everyone for being here and those watching on TV. Mayor's report, I'm going to alter just a little bit. I'm going to let the Blue Oval Club do their thing first, and then we'll get into the regular city business.
Thank you, Mayor and Aldermen and women, and everybody else in the room. This year, the Blue Oval Club had its 9th annual show downtown. This year, we brought in 180 cars, which filled up 4th and Chiller and started going down towards the amphitheater. That's the most cars we've ever had so far at the show. Next year is going to be our 10th anniversary. We're going to be doing a couple different little things to help attract a little more cars. So we may be asking for a little bit more space. So with that, the total for the checks that I'm going to be giving out today is going to be $8,070 total. That's over $1,000 more than last year. So the first one is going to be the historic Hermann, which would be the school.
Chuck's gonna do that, or?
Good luck.
Yeah, why not?
Read 'em.
More the better. Okay, I'm gonna make the worst cup of tea.
Over here. They've graciously loaned us their parking lot in the back of their building, and we more or less kind of construed people from going in and out of the school, so we want to compensate them for them. $700.
Got it.
Next up is the Showboat Theater. We support them every year because of the kids are using that more and more in the last couple of years than they have previously. And we continue to support them even though we didn't use your building this year. But we want to thank you and handshake. Check.
Hang on just a second. There you go.
Next up, I don't know if anybody attended the show this year, but at noon we had a, I'm gonna call it halftime entertainment for the lack of better words. But the VFW came and presented the nation's colors, and they also passed out some challenge coins to all the veterans that we've had at the show. We're trying to support more and more with the veterans, and with that part of that, the VFW, there was a 50-50, $700 total, and they got $350 for it, and we got the other half. But we like to present a check to them. I know they're going through a building fund for $900. Thank you. The next one is the backpack program. We always try to support as many kids as we can, and try to make them healthier with taking food home and stuff with the backpack program. And I don't know if anybody here from the back.
You gonna do it? Chris, can you vote?
Cool. So I'm getting tricked by the press over
I'm
there.
sorry.
We'd like to present them with a check for $1,000.
Oh, yay.
You're welcome.
I was gonna say, you might as well stay, because he's got another one for you.
Huh?
He's got another one for you.
Oh, you have another one for me?
A
Yeah.
little bit later.
Well,
Yeah, go sit
Yeah,
back
next.
down.
I was trying to sit down first. What?
I did these orders.
That's okay. That's okay. Love it.
Okay.
This is great.
A lot of the Herman kids travel across the river over to the Rhineland ball field. And so we always support the Rhineland ball field because they put a lot of money into that ball field with the maintenance and lighting and everything. And to help support with the Herman kids going over to the Rhineland field as well. So Larry? I'd like to present the Rhineland ball field with a check for $1,300. The next one, we know Thanksgiving is coming around real soon, and the food bank is gonna need money for that. Plus whatever they're continuing on doing with the community as well. We'd like to present the Herman Food Bank for $1,700.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. We
You're
really
welcome.
appreciate this.
I hope it goes a long way.
Yes.
We
It
have
will.
one more check. It was to Herman Youth Hunt. I know that we presented to them last week because they had to get their stuff going for this weekend coming up. So we went ahead and rushed it to get them the money earlier. And we presented them with an additional $1,700. So thank you, Mayor. We look forward to next year and make it bigger and better.
Thank you for what you all do. Thank you for supporting the community. Okay, Mayor's report, I got a few things. We're still looking for a couple of volunteers to step up and join the Landmarks Committee or the UAV Committee. We need one on UAV and two for Landmarks. If someone would be interested, contact the city office. Our recycle center, Ed does a remarkable job at our recycle center, and it gets used heavily. But we have a problem down there with, there's a bunch of dumpsters there, and most of them are ones that are going to be recycled because they don't have bottoms in them. But people have been bringing styrofoam and filling them up with styrofoam. We can't recycle that, and please refrain from doing that. No more styrofoam. Throw it in the trash at your business or your home, wherever you may, but do not take that to the recycle center. Also, remember that Big Trash Day is coming, and that it's changed this year. You might want to elaborate when you get into your areas. So we are not picking up trash at the residence this year. We're going to be doing the parking lot down across from the amphitheater. You must take your items there and show proof of residency, I believe, driver's license or something, some mail or something that's got your address on it. We are being pressured by our trash company, and so this is basically an experiment, I guess you would say, to see how this works. I know a lot of people are not going to be happy about it, but we're going to give it a try and see how it works. Anyway. And don't forget Halloween.
Mayor, I'm sorry, can I just interject right there before you go on?
Yes.
The only thing I have to add to that is that, as you were saying, the reason our contractor was asking us to do this is because of the abuses of the service. so many people from out of town are bringing truckloads of garbage in when the service is only for Hermann residents. The sheer volume sometimes that people are putting out and putting out items that are not on the list as being acceptable to be collected. So that is why they are encouraging us to do this drop off. And so if people, it's November 2nd, is this that coming Saturday, from 1 to 7 at the Gutenberg parking lot. And if people just enter from East 5th Street, we'll have signs down there directing people, and there'll be help down there. Tri-County is going to supply some labor to help people unload their trucks once they get there. And yes, one of our employees will be checking proof of residency.
Thank you. Also, Halloween is just around the corner, so if you're out and about, watch out for the little people. Well, maybe the big people too. Watch out for people. And I guess the only other thing I have is our next meeting will not be on Monday. It will be on November 12th, a Tuesday, because of Veterans Day. And I believe that is all I have. City Administrator, please.
Okay, I'm going to be brief. I think we were just chatting before the meeting about the successful Oktoberfest we had. 4 beautiful weather weekends, I think, contributed to that. So I just talked to Chief this morning and asked for a report, and he said that there were really no major problems this month. This past weekend there were a couple fights, but that was the only issues at all. He said overall it was a very just nice, calm crowd. So he was pleased with that. It seems like that we're not getting all the college buses, but that is being replaced with older people or even some young families too. So it's a nice crowd. And because of that, I want to thank our tourism department, our street department, park department. They all put in extra work during this season, and so I want to thank them for all of those extras that they do. The other thing I wanted to remind people is just really every opportunity I get, I'm encouraging people to take the comprehensive plan survey that MRPC is helping the city with the comprehensive plan, and the survey from the citizens is an important piece of that we want their input. And it is kind of a lengthy survey, but we would appreciate the investment of your 10 minutes if you would do that. There is a link on our Facebook page, and we will be reposting that several times. But it's a comprehensive plan survey, and it asks you your opinions about tourism and the economy and the parks and the sidewalks and just a whole variety of things. So we would appreciate and value your input if you would please fill out that survey. Just by way of reminder, before our next meeting, business owners will be getting their annual business license renewal. Please be looking for that, and that's due December 31st. I think Corey liquor licenses went out as well, and we asked for those a little early so we can get those on the first December meeting.
Yep.
So please be mindful of that. And the other thing that I'd like to bring to the attention of the board is we have been made aware of an opportunity for a no-match grant, which is our favorite. So it is, this time it's for electric, for projects that encourage energy efficiency and conservation. And so Jesse and I have been working on trying to find a city project that would fit within these parameters. It's a minimum of $100,000 up to $500,000. So if you all are amenable to that, we will keep pursuing that. There'll be formal approval that will come to you all that's going to be required of the grant, probably in the form of a resolution or something. And MRPC will be helping us with this if you want us to move forward.
Very good.
Yeah, so it's, I guess I could say, it's actually, one of the things we're thinking about is working on the conversion project, which Jesse's been wanting to do for years, which we never have enough money to ever do. And so this would be wonderful if we can pigeonhole that to suit this grant. We could work on that major project. So we're hoping that comes to fruition. And I think that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Public Works.
We had EEI here this last week testing our large gas meters. So the gas guys were running around with them. You guys might have seen them out. Got all those tested and they're done. They installed a new gas service on the 200 block of West 6th. They've cut off the gas now to the Gaston County Historic Society and the Archives building to do with the demolition. So we're trying to get the utilities lined out for that as this all goes on. The cause of the sinkhole that had formed near 3rd and Washington turned out to be sanitary sewer related. We did some research into that along with the customer. It turned out it was on the customer's lateral. So they're in contact right now, some plumbers to get that taken care of and repaired, and then hopefully we can get that mess fixed. I made contact with 2 property owners on Schiller to discuss some sewer issues that they have that I would like to see remedied before paving in the late spring. I want to give the Blue Oval guys some more asphalt. So we'll get Schiller lined out, and hopefully whenever it's squared away between water and sewer, we don't have to cut into that street for a long time. We met with Brightspeed today to discuss the damage to the sewer that came from one of their bores. They're calling in locates so that their contractor can excavate the area and then the repairs will be made. The water department has locates called in for replacement of a lead service line on West 6th, and they've been following up on fire department hydrant list concerns, and they installed the water service and the meter pit for the new Dollar General. Electric has several new poles around town that we've set, and we've been reconfiguring some conductors in some residential areas, trying to get them to where they're not crossing people's properties, creating some issues for the other property owner. And we met with Dollar General on their transformer location. I've got some transformer bids out for that project because I quoted it to them in like January of last year. So I want to make sure that those quotes are still in line before we get them to sign an agreement to move forward. But I should be getting those fairly quick. We got the overhead conductors and all the related infrastructure off the Osler property, which you guys saw that easement come through a couple weeks ago. That's what that was all about. The street department has been filling potholes, keeping up with the work orders that come in as they come in. We did have 7th Street had to have a small cutout made in it for a customer service. It's not going to get into the driving lane, but of course nobody's real happy about having to cut up a brand new street. Mo Seal came and finished up work. Todd finished getting them squared away. Now the sealing company is here, putting down the sealant that we put on all the new asphalt. Parks has been taking care of the campground and several other things throughout the Oktoberfest. They've been painting some buildings, I believe, and of course watering trees with the dry spell as it continues. And then I wanted to mention that the tree commission actually planted, Bob dug, I think, over 30 holes last Friday. They planted 30 trees, over 30 trees down along Fring Creek, kind of east of the Gutenberg parking lot, along that bank to kind of stabilize that hopefully. And then at the old Hermann Medical Arts lot, that green space. So hats off to the tree commission. They do a lot of stuff and get a lot of trees in the ground, so I'm thankful for that.
Anybody have any questions?
Have we started the lead line study yet?
No, Schulte is not here yet.
Do you have any idea when they would?
I have not heard from them. We submitted the paperwork that was required, but there's such a backlog of work for all those people. I mean, it could be, I wouldn't be surprised if it's next year, I'll be honest. It's gonna depend on how quick they can get here from one community to the next. And the state understands that this is a massive project, and the number of companies that are out there doing the work is pretty limited, so.
I'm just curious.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for all you do. We will move to public comments. Chuck has a presentation. You need me on there? You're okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Board of Aldermen, and Alderwoman. This past Friday, Kelsey and I attended a Missouri State Certificate Local Government Seminar in Jefferson City. This seminar was very informative, and I think Kelsey was impressed with the importance of our historic district and preservation, of course. This year, the city of Hermann was recognized for our 20 years of successful participation in the Missouri Certified Local Government Program. I am grateful for the people of vision that have gone before us and understand the importance of preserving this historic buildings and maintaining a historic district for the future generations. I am pleased to serve on the Landmark Commission, and it is my honor to give this certificate to the city of Hermann for all its hard work in preserving our historic district and surrounding buildings. Thank you. Mayor?
Very good. I can get the certificate from you.
Turn around.
Sure, picture.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for all you do.
Thank you very much.
Oh, put that on with it. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Under comments, Rose Belcher, will you come to the podium, please?
Good evening. I'd like to speak on the landlord ordinance that's now being considered. Under section 530.110, the purpose of the ordinance, the first sentence says to provide for the health, safety, and general welfare of its residents. I'm just wondering how it's constitutional to treat one resident differently from another resident. We don't have inspections for homeowners, so why do landlords need it? Same section under property maintenance code, I believe Tricia brought up at the last meeting that there is no property maintenance code, so how can we possibly, as a landlord, be held to that standard when there is no code? Under fees, I believe that the $100 fee is excessive. Most of the fees in town are about $50. Guest houses are not charged a fee at all for their annual inspections, so I don't feel that landlords should be required to pay a fee either. The other question is, how is this going to be enforced? There are no rules on being a landlord as far as registering or anything like that, like you would with the permit to have a guest house. So how are you going to enforce this to anybody? Also, what is a landlord? If I let a family member stay in my vacant home for 2 months and he pays me for utilities, am I now considered a landlord and have to have an inspection in my home? As the ordinance exists now, we see a negative impact on the availability of long-term housing in Hermann. It could be easier and/or cheaper to turn my house into a guest house than have to make the improvements required by the city for a long-term rental. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Tom Belcher?
My comments are on the same proposed ordinance. Under current state laws, Missouri law exempts government from most liability except for a few exceptions. I don't see any need for the local ordinance to do the same. However, with the local local ordinance doesn't mention any exceptions, which the state does. The ordinance says that all responsibilities of a landlord. If the city requires that I drill a 4-inch hole through my poured foundation to install a bathroom vent to daylight, and the hole weakens the foundation to the point where it eventually cracks, why should the city be indemnified? I request that we have a checklist included in the ordinance so that I know all requirements in advance. That way I know all citizens are held to the same standard, just like the city does for guest houses. I don't want a situation where the inspector arrives and I don't know what will be asked to do. Negotiations would follow and inevitably that would open the door for inconsistencies in application of the ordinance. In addition, the application form should also be included in the ordinance. That way landlords know what they're getting into before they apply for the permit and before they commit resources to find out down the road that long-term rental business is not economically viable. I understand that buildings built before, I've been told that buildings built before the city adopted the standardized industrial code may be exempt, standardized in international code may be exempt from current code. If true, then it sounds like the proposed ordinance may conflict with properties that are exempt from current building code because of their grandfathered condition. For example, some Hermann properties were constructed without ground wires in their electrical system. Installing new cables with a ground wire would require removing tile and or cabinets and removing the lath and plaster wall, then install the cable. In some cases that might not be possible without additional costly modifications. I just don't see how the proposed ordinance addresses grandfathered properties fairly and equitably. As mentioned before, it appears that the proposed ordinance exempts the city from all liability from issuing the inspection and issuing the permit. How can the ordinance shift all liability to the landlord when state and case law allows exemptions? With a shortage of long-term rentals, who can afford that kind of liability? The proposed ordinance needs more work. I would prefer to start with a small list of well-defined items for the inspection checklist. This will make it less demanding on the inspector's time in the beginning, and at the same time, it will minimize expenses and lost rent for landlords. Once the program is up and running smoothly, we can revisit the issue and consider amending the ordinance based on particular experience for Hermann properties.
Thank you. Thank you for your input. Like I say, we are just at that proposal stage, so.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, and next order of business is old business to discuss that.
So as you remember, Mike was not here at the last meeting, but we had discussion. Mike went back and watched the video and took note of all your questions and is prepared to address them. And
Thanks
if
for
we
that.
didn't announce that, he's the building inspector.
Yeah, I'm sorry, the building inspector, I'm sorry.
The first thing that I noticed or paid attention to in the video was if I was out of town. And coincidentally, I wasn't at this last meeting to answer these questions because I was out of town. I visited this topic this morning when I was in New Haven and asked the girls in the office there who were involved in this what they did when Lee used to go on vacation, because Lee never missed a vacation. And they said nobody ever had to wait more than a day or two. And I kind of pride myself in, I get my inspections immediately as soon as they're called in. As earliest convenience, I get them done. But we did read through that code, and it requires a BOCA inspector to stand in my place, which could be found through some of the other municipalities, or, you know, the urgency. It's rare that I can see the urgency being more than a couple days. And if you're gone, if I take a week off, or like you said, maybe I get sick and I'm out for a while. But I've never had to address that. I mean, I would call Lee if there was something in New Haven. I would call Bob if there was something here, but they're not BOCA certified. Also, there were a couple other, there was a question about the temporary occupancy permit. That is more geared towards sales of houses. Like when someone buys a house as is, with existing code violations, they are giving X number of time to correct these. That's really not for short or long-term rental. Long-term rental focuses on smoke detectors, GFIs, railings, health and safety issues. There was some talk about the landmarks in this.
And I think you guys kind of tongue in cheek said, you know, we're not really into telling people what color they can paint their long-term rental house. So, I never, that aesthetically, I don't look at anything aesthetics in a house. And then the fee, we talked about, the fee that we have established in the other community is $40. And it's listed as 100 in here. There's also, if a property is inspected and it passes, and the tenant for some reason moves out before a year is up, I have the option of, depending on the condition of the property, of foregoing the inspection and honoring the prior inspection. And another difference that I just heard is guest houses are subject to an annual inspection, whereas long-term rentals in this would be when the property occupancy transfers to a new person, and then they could live there for, 40 years. So, did I miss any of your questions?
In listening to the other two statements there, can you address any of what they asked?
Well, without going into real great specifics, sorry. Some of the maintenance issues that you brought up, I don't skip over things, but like open grounds, something that you discussed in your statement. To change all the wiring in a house to cover the open grounds would be a great expense. And I always say, whenever something's open, correct it. I can't go in, you got a $500 a month rental, going in there and tell you have to do $15,000 worth of electrical work so that you can rent this $500 a month. I mean, I'm reasonable to work that way. And then, what were the other?
Grandfather properties, our house is built in 1890.
Yeah.
I'm sure the doorways aren't up to code. I'm sure the windows, they're single pane windows, not all of them operate. I mean,
Well,
100 years of paint on them.
Yeah, but regardless of some of that stuff, health and safety issues, they can't be overlooked. You can't have a bedroom with a non-functioning window. You have to have a second source of egress. And again, I'm not gonna go into a 120-year-old house and say you have to change all the windows. But certain health and safety issues kind of have to be addressed.
How do we get a list of that? So you don't come to my house and spend 3 hours and say, here's a $20,000 repair bill. I'd like to know up front, because then I can make the decision of making it into a guest house. I'm not required to make all those improvements.
Well, at the risk of speaking for the board, I do have an inspection list that I work from. And again, it focuses on health and safety issues. I've often told people that have met me for the inspections, I'm not in the business of putting you out of business. I'm in the business of keeping people safe as best I can do. We do have an old community. Most of the houses in Hermann are older than me. So, we do encounter these things. And I used to have an ancient home here in Hermann, and it took me 5 years to make it compliant.
So I do have, this is not our inspection sheet, this is New Haven's, and we share Mike with New Haven. If you want to show what you use in New Haven, ours I'm sure will have some alterations, but that's
I can make
give you
copies
an
for other
idea.
people. Sorry about the frigidity. But these are kind of broad strokes to put it.
While they're looking at that, does anybody else have any questions for him?
I'm sure once this is a second go over, get your input, then we could probably develop a list like that to go along with this ordinance. And then if the the landlord, the rental owners, if they want to contact City Hall, then we could make them copies of the ordinance and the list?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be,
Absolutely,
yeah, I'd be more than happy to do that. And there was one other question you had about the International Property Maintenance Code. That is a pretty, it's like the cliff notes of code. It kind of does, it covers a lot of stuff very broadly. And virtually everything in the International Property Maintenance Code is covered in any of the other ICC codes and the International Electric Code. So, for ease of working, I use the International Property Maintenance Code in New Haven, but here I would be required to use our adopted codes.
Anybody else?
I think they bring up good points, and I think that I'm sure Mike is very reasonable about this, about not going overboard, but I want to make sure that what we draft is not going to give maybe a future building inspector means to go way overboard, and I'm just kind of concerned about that.
Okay. Anything else?
No, but I mean, if anybody has any questions, feel free to call me. Again, the focus, I believe, is for health and safety. Bob and I talked about this morning. It's less aesthetic, it's more, to protect my tenants.
I would assume if there's blatant OSHA violations, they would have to be addressed.
Yeah, for lack of a better term, if I see something, I have to say something. Because if I notice something and I don't want to deal with it, then it's a liability thing, I believe. So, if there's a landlord that is maybe not as good a landlord as he could be, sometimes they get a little more attention. But that's true in any case.
And Mike, they're repeating what you told us before, that after this initial inspection, they usually go much smoother.
Yeah, I mean, I think you made the comment of adopting this is going to put a lot of workload. I mean, it's a little bit more work because we're starting from scratch with a lot of these properties. But as they become compliant, they slowly but surely work themselves into a much quicker inspection. And I've never spent 3 hours on an inspection, even if I fall asleep. So, but initially, yeah, it'll take a little time to kickstart it and get it going. But in time, landlords generally, they understand what is expected. I try not to spring surprises on people, but if a house is lacking proper ground fault protection, once they're installed, the next time I come around, they're there. I just test them and make sure. And the smoke detectors, there's really no leeway on that. So.
Okay. Well, thank you for being here and answering the questions, and we'll move forward on this.
If and when this ordinance is passed, were you going to go to every property that has a long-term rental, or it's only when they change the?
My understanding is it was gonna be implemented as they change. So if there's a tenant in an apartment and they're gonna stay there another 5 years, they don't have to, peek out their blinds when they wanna go get the newspaper from me waiting in the bushes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
And was that your all's intent? Is that what you, that was our understanding that was your intent. Is that your intent, what you just said? How you want it to roll out?
Do we want to leave that what Mike said, for the fee, instead of 100, go to 40?
That's up for debate.
I think, is that what you kind of recommended, Mike?
That's currently what we charge in New Haven.
We should look at our fee schedule, and what are we charging, for building permits and things?
Building permits vary from there's really nothing for 30 anymore, it's like $50. A re-inspect, for example, is $25, but usually I'll do a first re-inspect for free. It's only when someone's just trying to get away with something that I can implement the
We should probably
$25.
review our fee schedule and, we don't want to have something and say, oh, that was way too low, and then a year later have to, increase it or something, but, yeah, $100 might be excessive.
Now you can tweak it and then bring it back to us and, Okay? Okay with everybody up here?
We'll see the check, do we need to update the checklist for the next meeting, or will that be just the ordinance?
So I don't know where you guys are at, if you're ready to move forward into an actual ordinance for voting, or you want to have further discussion. You want to make some, review your New Haven checklist, compare it to our ordinance, and see if there's anything that needs to be altered?
Yeah, I mean, I can skinny it up a little bit and make it a little more.
Yeah, I
You know,
think it would be a
bullet
good
points.
idea so everybody up here gets to see the checklist and have an idea of what you're doing before.
You would have seen this probably over a couple meetings back,
But-
but we'll get you, Michael, reviewed again.
Yeah,
And they're kind of broad points, but they cover a fair amount of ground, and they're reasonable.
right. I understand, but that way everybody understands. They're not approving something that they didn't see. or
So what
remember.
do you want for next meeting?
Can you have all that together by the next meeting then?
Our list of
So-
current building cost or inspection cost and a
Checklist?
checklist.
Okay. And some edits to the ordinance. Do you want it for discussion again?
Discussion again? I think we should one more time,
Since Adam's in here?
just to make sure, I mean,
Very
we
good.
don't have to rush into this. I mean, it's not like it's gotta
Yeah.
be done tomorrow, so I mean,
And that's for November the 12th.
that way
Yeah.
Ash will be here, that way if he has some input also. Okay? Thank you so much. Does anybody have any other old business? Anybody have any new business?
I do have one. Can we set a time to discuss the space permit issue? Do you want it at this meeting? Or as a workshop, or what?
I'm open to any of those suggestions. I think the idea when Dave and I talked about it was just to get the whole board's input on how this was gonna roll out and what it would look like.
Space. I'm lost on space
See,
permit.
they need,
Right, and that's kind of the purpose of,
Education.
getting a discussion together for it.
And I think one thing that you and I talked about was maybe between a meeting, you and I and Dolores and Tricia or whoever get together and talk about it and talk about concerns and ideas, and then it can be brought to the board in a more organized fashion. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think
Or would you rather just get through all the weeds here? It doesn't make any difference.
it
but
doesn't
that-
make me any
That
difference.
might streamline it a little more. Maybe if we want to just get a date and time on the calendar, and I can come up here and talk about it, I think is probably the best place to
Okay.
start.
Whenever you have time.
You want to send me an email in the morning and we'll get that on the
I
calendar?
thought I sent information to all of you way back when. This has been going on since January 2023, so I'd like to see it cleared up.
Okey-doke.
And where are we with the porch plans? Do you have any idea?
Yeah, they're still in the hands of the engineer. I don't think they've gone out for bids yet. Well,
Not that I'm aware of.
And the zoning map, where are we?
I prodded him on that last week. He said they're finishing up some details.
And can we take our flag down outside since it does not have a light on it?
Or get a light?
Well,
It used to have a light. There was always a light on on the pole?
It isn't there now, it hasn't been for probably a week or longer.
Okay.
I'd like to either have a light on it or the flag removed, taken down.
Yeah, we should probably take it down then until we get the light reinstalled. I never come in the front, so forgive me for not noticing. I'm my back door girl.
And on the investments, are we going to do a little more than,
Yeah, I think in
Yeah.
3 months Tammy was going to roll out some more suggestions.
okay.
All right, we're gonna move on to ordinances. Not going to read this ordinance tonight because some of the information has not been presented yet, so that will be tabled. So in that case, we will move on to motions.
So yeah, and just to clarify that, Marlon's out of town, had a conference, and so there were a couple of blanks that he needed to fill in on that final draft, so that's fine.
That's fine. Okay, we'll move on to motions. Do I have a motion to approve our minutes from our last meeting?
Move to approve the minutes.
Motion has been made. Do I have a second?
Second,
All in favor, aye? Any opposed? So carried. Invoices for payment. Do I have a motion to pay our bills?
I make a motion to pay the bill.
I have a motion to pay the bills. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made, second. All in favor, aye? Any opposed? So carried. Outdoor seating permit renewal for 222 East First Street, Doxy Slush. Have a motion to approve that.
Motion to approve.
Motion's made. Do I have a second?
Second.
they are changing this from what they have now.
No, it's the same,
They're gonna change-
it's the same as it's been last year. They've checked off on that on the
Okay.
longer form.
Now, does this include, they did add on that little,
Yeah, that's included. That's not on this drawing because that was a different process. This is just a general idea to show you that it hasn't changed at large since what they've done.
All right, I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made, second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Approve the state bid for $135,000 for John Deere 85P excavator. Any questions? If not, do I have a bid? I mean
It's looking like a true auctioneer.
auctioneer. Wrong job. Sorry. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
a second.
Motion made, second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Conditional use permit renewal for outdoor liquor, Arminius Holdings LLC, Hermann 1837 bar. Any questions? Discussion? If not, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made, second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Conditional use permit renewal, owner unoccupied guest house, Cornerstone Investments LLC at 202 West 6th Street, Huntline Properties and LLC at 309 West 6th Street.
I would just say out loud that these that we're going to approve had been guest houses prior to the restriction placed upon them.
Right, they're just being renewed.
Just for viewers to know that we're not approving any new.
Yeah, they're not new ones, right? Any other discussion? If not, do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made, second. All in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed? So carried. Special event application for Breakaway Production, James Witherspoon, Missouri Jazz Festival Amphitheater, June 14th, 2025. Do I have a motion to approve the Jazz
I
Festival?
think they're asking for 2 police officers, and they're also asking for temporary restrooms. That's not correct.
And an EMT.
We normally don't provide police officers or the restrooms for the.
Well, the restrooms are there.
So Kelsey has
We're
a note on
asking
here.
for more.
she contacted them here at that green note and told them that, about the restroom situation, that the city doesn't provide the temporary restrooms. And Corey, do you know if anybody talked to them about the police? You know, they would have to pay if they wanted, you know, special protection.
Well, I think the park board declined it, right, Dolores? Is that what you
Park
were
board,
saying?
yes, they declined the police officers and the portable restrooms.
So is this the same company that did it last year?
Tammy said that this is a different,
Different again?
jazz festival, so that's
Got it.
nice.
Okay. It's a different jazz festival?
Or an additional, I should say.
An additional,
Mhm.
oh wow, okay.
So do you want to approve it with those, with not allowing the extra bathrooms? You have that on there that you've already informed them of that situation.
I'll make a motion to approve without the requested officers and portable bathrooms.
Okay, a motion has been made. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. We have no reports. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion is made. Do I have a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you for watching our TV. And don't forget to vote.
Yeah.
Beat you.
I did it.
We'll go back and vote again.
You're already voting.
Early enough.
I know. I think your name for,